Good morning, everyone. This is Leah Dixon in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia. I am here this morning for my regular Facebook Live. Today I'm going to be showing you a card that I'm making with the Dragonfly Garden stamp set. I'm also going to be showing you a technique using decorative masks and the blending brushes. So if you are on this morning watching, if you want to leave a comment in the posts, that would be awesome. That way I know that you are here and watching along and I'm in the right place and everything. And I'm going to switch my camera over to my desktop so that we can get started stamping. All right, so this is the gorgeous Dragonfly Garden stamp set. And this is what we're going to create with. Now this stamp set actually comes as a bundle and you get a 10% savings. And it comes with a punch, which is really nice for the beginning crafter, because if you don't have the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, it's really nice to be able to just grab a punch off of your shelf and get going with that. So we are going to be using that punch. I'm just going to put it to the side. I'm going to move this out of the way, and I am going to bring in a piece of Whisper White cardstock. So this Whisper White cardstock is cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and that is so that it will create a perfect layer on our standard card base here. I have a pretty peacock card base, and so it was actually cut, well, 8 1/2 is the width of our standard paper, so it was cut at 5 1/2, which is half of our standard paper. Good morning, Eileen. And then scored at 4 1/4. So we've got our standard base here and then our basic white layer. I know, I love the dragonflies so much. When this was part of our pre-order offering, and actually I think it was even part of what we could get to go to our annual convention, I was so excited. So today, because I'm going to be using a mask, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a little bit of seal adhesive onto my background, onto my paper that I'm working on. And that's so that I can line up my piece of Whisper White, or Basic White, sorry, I keep calling it Whisper White. I'm going to line up my piece of Basic White cardstock so that it's nice and straight and centered. And the grid on my board is going to help me do that. There we go. So now I've got that down. Good morning, Catherine. And so that's going to kind of hold my paper in place, and it also allows me to line it up and keep it straight. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab one of my decorative masks. Now, our decorative mask pack that we have is called the Basic Patterns Decorative Masks, and it comes with polka dots, and this really fancy kind of, I don't know, but to me it's a very French pattern. I love these guys, these beautiful, like they're almost like leaves or something, I'm not really sure. And then the trees. Okay, so we've got the 4 different patterns, and in my original card design I had actually used this one, but I think for today's card I might actually go ahead and use kind of more like these leaves. So what I'm going to do now that my paper is secured is I'm going to take my mask and line it up how I would like it. So I'm kind of looking to see where our piece is kind of sitting in relation to my cardstock. So I've lined up the bottom, and then I've made my sides uniform as well. So I kind of like how that's all going to lay out on my paper. Now the next thing that I'm going to do, now that I've decided that I like how that's been centered, is I'm going to get either some painter's tape or some washi tape. For me, I have a ton of like leftover washi tape from years gone by, patterns, like, because when you buy it, you often buy it in rolls where you get multiples like of different patterns, and there's always one pattern that I don't love, and I don't fret about that because I have so many uses for washi tape. So I'm going to use my washi tape to hold my mask down, and I am going to do all 4 corners. I have learned that if you don't do all four corners, then sometimes you can get a little bit of slipping and then you get a little fuzzy edge when you're working with your mask. All right, so my paper's secure, my mask is secure, and now we are ready to do some color in here. So now you can do so many things with these masks. I've done videos in the past where I've used embossing paste. I've sponged things on. You can splatter on. You can just like ink on. Today I'm going to be using our new blending brushes. So the blending brushes, I keep one for each kind of color family. Oh, I'm going to seal this up and I'm having trouble reopening it. Okay, here we go. So I kind of keep one for each color family. So here I've got my blue and my green. Those are the two colors that I'm going to be using this morning. Good morning, Martine. It's probably almost lunchtime for you. All right, so I've got my blue and my green, and the two shades that I'm actually using today are Pear Pizzazz and Pretty Peacock. And what I love about these two colors is that I'm going to use the two colors, but they're actually going to blend together in the middle to make another shade of really, really beautiful green. So whenever I blend, I like to start with my lighter colors. And so I just open up my ink, I take my blending brush. This one's pretty clean, like it's not leaving any marks on my paper. So I'm just going to take my blending brush and I'm going to start just kind of circular motions, and I'm going to go about halfway down my page with this blending brush going circular motions over top of my decorative mask. And if I feel like it's not dark enough, I can come in and re-ink. And that's the nice thing, is you just keep adding the layers on until it's as dark as you would like it. Oh, you just finished your lunch. Oh, I guess, yes, it would be 1 o'clock, wouldn't it? I always forget it's 4 hours. Oh, good morning, Gail. All right, here we go. So we're just going to keep layering on the color, getting this as dark as we'd like. I don't want it too dark. And then with that done, I can close up my Pear Pizzazz. To clean these blending brushes is really, really simple. We're just going to give it a little rub. And we're done, because I'm only going to use this one in greens. I'm not too concerned about getting it cleaner than that. If you were, you can always like take it to your chamois and rub it on your chamois. It will stay stained, but the color should stop coming out of it. All right, and now we're going to do the same thing with our Pretty Peacock. However, this time we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. And I am going to come again about halfway up and go right over top of where I had already colored with my Pear Pizzazz. And so that's where our blending is happening, is those two colors are going to start to mix together. And so you can see it's now making that Pear Pizzazz look almost more yellow than green. And it's creating a beautiful green in the center of our page. Just a little bit more. I love this Pretty Peacock. I especially love it when we do the blending. It just creates a softer version of it, and it's just such a beautiful color. And then just a few light brushes up. There we go. So now we can kind of take a sneak peek without disturbing too much. We can pull up the bottom here. That's the nice thing about using this washi tape, is it pulls up easily. So I'm going to pull up the bottom and just take a peek and make sure it's looking the way we want it to look. I think that's perfect. So I'm actually going to remove the whole mask. Put that off to the side. Close up my ink before I drop something in it. And now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off of my page, and I'm actually going to use my finger or grab a glue eraser. I find the seal though rubs off really nicely. I'm going to get rid of that sticky spot on my page so that I don't ruin any of my other papers. I know, Eileen, isn't that just an amazing look? I just adore it. All right, I can just give that one a good little brush to clean that off, and I can move my blending brushes out of the way. All right, so that is our gorgeous background. Oh, I forgot to rub off the excess on the back of here. So again, this seal rubs off really nicely. So if you ever put seal down and then don't want it where you put it, your finger or a glue eraser will work just beautifully, or even just a regular white eraser. All right, so now because of the two colors I chose, it's the perfect opportunity for me to pull out my Old Olive and Pretty Peacock double-sided ribbon. And I'm going to do a little bit of a bow here up near the top. So I'm going to wrap this all the way around and then snip it off with just a little bit extra so that I have enough space to, or like enough ribbon to hold on to tie a bow. All right. And then I'm just, whoops, tie a knot first. So I'm going to come in here, hold down my paper. Sorry guys, this is a little hard for you to see what I'm actually doing because my hands are so in the way. But the first job is to tie a knot. And once I've got that knot tied, then I can kind of decide if I want it further up, further down on my page, just by giving it a gentle little bend and maneuvering it to where I want it. Okay, so now that I have my knot, now I can work on my bow. And it's just 2 bunny ears. Oops, come back here. Wrap those bunny ears one around the other. And then you just kind of tug it and pull it and position it the way you want it. There's a lot of back and forth, like make the bow smaller, make it bigger, until we get exactly what we're looking for. All right, and then I just trim up my ends. And there we go. All right, so that is kind of the base for our card. So we can now adhere this to our Pretty Peacock card base. And when I do that, I'm actually going to use liquid glue. I know lots of people prefer Seal or Seal Plus. With the ribbon on here, I would definitely suggest using Seal Plus if you're going to use Seal. I personally love the liquid glue because it allows me the opportunity to kind of fiddle around and make things straight. I'm not great at just placing them down straight on the first go, and you can't really fiddle with it if you use Seal Plus. All right, so I just did around the edges. Then I'm going to come in and kind of line that up, but it's always a little bit of a wiggle for me to get it straight. And there we go. Now, while I've got my glue out, I'm actually going to take a second piece of basic white, and I just keep these pre-cut on the side of my desk. I keep thick whisper white card bases pre-cut and scored, and I keep 4 by 5 1/4 pieces of basic white just sitting on the side of my desk. So anytime I need to line a card, it's just super simple to grab that liner and pop it in. And with this one, with the Pretty Peacock card base, you definitely want a liner. It would be hard to write in here and have it be nice and visible. Okay, so there we go. There, we've got our card lined as well. We will come back and stamp that. All right, next up is to get some decoration on the front here. So I've shown you the masking. So that masking that I did is just like the masks that are going to come in the March paper pumpkin. They're different patterns. It's like stars and a mountain scene and like a sun ray and stuff like that. But that's exactly how you would use them. Position them over top of your paper and then come in there with some blending brushes or some sponges or embossing paste, whatever it is you want to get that look in the background. All right, next up is to do some more sponging and some stamping. So I'm going to grab my Dragonfly. Now I've grabbed the one that has kind of the darker center. There's actually 2 Dragonflies. One has the darker center, one has the lighter center. The one with the lighter center is lovely when you're going to be taking your blends and coloring in your Dragonfly, and you can get some really cool definition there. But because I'm using blending brushes today for all of my coloring, I'm going to stamp this guy with the solid center, and I'm going to stamp him in Pretty Peacock so that that is the main color on him. So come in here, ink him up. Oops, that is not going to be a big enough scrap. I grabbed a scrap of paper and it's too small. So I'll just go over to our scrap bin here and grab some more. I do keep all my basic white scraps of all sizes, and I keep them in a little bin so that I don't have to cut up a whole sheet when I'm doing something like this. All right, so there is our dragonfly, and actually, oh, do I want a whole one on the inside? No, you know what? I'm going to actually grab our envelope right now, though, and I am going to put this nice big size dragonfly on our envelope. So I always try and decorate the insides of my cards and my envelopes, and when I think of it, I try and do it as I'm designing the card. So there we go. We've got our envelope stamped. So nice decoration on our envelope. We can set that to the side for now. And set our dragonfly to the side. Actually, we've got to keep out our ink though, because we're going to use our ink, our Pretty Peacock, and our Pear Pizzazz to color in our dragonfly. So I'm going to grab my blue blending brush again, and I'm not even going to be too careful with this. I'm just going to come in here, and right over top of my dragonfly, I'm going to put in some blue right at the body, and then I'm going to grab my Pear Pizzazz and do the tips of those wings. And you can see it's kind of going all over the place. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be punching this out, and most of that will just disappear. We want kind of a soft, airy look to this. So, and then I'm just going to come in and blend out a bit more so I get that nice spot where the Pear Pizzazz and the Pretty Peacock, that's a mouthful, kind of mix together and create that beautiful green on the wings as well. Okay, there we go. So we've got that all done. Good morning, Val. Nice to have you on. We're just working with the Dragonfly Garden stamp set and some blending brushes and masks. All right, so now I'm going to pop this into my, actually, you know what? I'm going to just do a little bit higher up and have a little piece to save for later, because I am using a larger scrap. I'm going to get that smaller dragonfly when I punch out. And so we're just going to mix this, do a bit of blending up higher. There we go. All right, so now when I punch this out and I get that little dragonfly up above, he's going to be blended as well and some nice little colors. I'm not actually going to use him on this project, but I always save my extra pieces, and then I've got them for quick accents on future cards. So there we go. And actually, I'm going to leave that Pear Pizzazz open. So now we've got this beautiful dragonfly in the right colors to put onto our card front. We've got this little guy to save. So, oh, this one doesn't even have one yet. So inside my stamp cases, when I have extra bits like this, I actually just take one of our medium-sized clear envelopes. I fold the top back so it's like folded the wrong way, so that when I take off this adhesive strip, it actually is going to stick inside my case. And I've got a little envelope here to throw my pieces in. There we go. So I guess that's the first time I've had extra bits that I actually put away. I know I have lots of extra bits lying around all over my desk, but first ones I've actually put away. Okay, and actually, even though I'm going to use this soon, I'm going to close it right now, because our next job is to create a label to go on here. So I'm going to pull out my little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, grab my plates. Actually, I've learned that I do need this facing me. I don't know why I can't seem to do it sideways, but I do need it facing me. I'm going to put a piece of Whisper White cardstock there, and I am going to grab my favorite label die from the Stitched So Sweetly dies. So it's this larger one. I use this on so many projects. All right, and then with that all, oops, didn't layer that one up quite right. There we go. With that all layered up. Oh, it's going to be tricky again. So I do find that there's a little bit of a learning curve on this mini machine. It's not as forgiving as the big machine in terms of how you set up your dies. It's also really not happy on my paper here. Okay. So I am brand new to using this, and I am really still just learning how to layer these up. So I've been told you have to have all the different plates at different angles. Doesn't always work for me. Sometimes I have to just come in and sandwich it all. Nope. All right, we'll give this one more little adjustment, and then I won't waste your time trying to figure it out. Oh, there we go. That time I saw the handle move. Still no. Okay, I'm just going to move all these papers and see if that is going to help me, because I feel it all just slipping and sliding. There we go. Yeah, as soon as I didn't have those papers underneath, it all just started to work. So I guess that's the trick, is don't use your mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss on a slippy slidey surface like this one with all the papers, because it's just not going to grab. I may have to change my setup. As much as I like having the grid paper here, I may have to change my setup for videos if I'm going to be using that. All right, so there is our label all cut out, and we are going to grab the You Are an Inspiration stamp from that Dragonfly Garden set, and my inks, there we go, I popped them up there. I'm going to stamp that in Pretty Peacock. I am going to stamp it right down in the lower right hand corner of this label though, which seems kind of strange, taking such a small sentiment and putting it down in the bottom corner of such a large label. But that is because I'm going to cover up the rest of this label with dragonflies. So we've got this lovely set of, like, actually I think there may be even butterflies, not dragonflies. So I've stamped that in the Pear Pizzazz. I'm going to actually stamp it off and then do second generation stamping on our label. And then the rest of this big open space is actually going to get covered up with that dragonfly we made a moment ago. So I'll move this out of the way. And we are going to attach this to our card front and then pop our dragonfly on like that. So we're going to use dimensionals to do all of that. Let's see where... Oh, I don't have a pack of big ones. I just have minis. I do want a slightly larger dimensional though for this big label, so I'm actually just going to cut up the edging of my mini dimensionals. It has a really nice thick border on it, and it's going to be perfect for what I'm doing. All right, so there we go. I've got a few pieces here. So I'm going to put one on each end of this, and then I'm actually going to put one at the top and one at the bottom. I don't normally do that for this label, but because we're going to be adding the dragonfly as well, I want it really balanced out. Then on the back of our dragonfly, we can get away with using two little minis, one on each side. All right, so now we just peel off those backings. I'm going to do the positioning of my label first, and then I'll position the dragonfly on there based on the full card front. So move that to the side. Here we go. And that's how I like that one. Then I'm going to grab my dragonfly. And just like that. All right. And then our finishing touch on this card is going to be adding a little bit of bling. So I have got my opal rounds. These are one of my favorite embellishments right now. And we're just going to come up here and pop a few on up here just kind of randomly, just to fill in the space. All right, so that is our finished card today, and I'll actually show you my original where I used that other mask. So you've got the two different looks. I think I like that one, but both patterns are just so beautiful. And yeah, so that is how we use those masks that are going to be coming in that March paper pumpkin. So when you see that as that extra little free gift, do know that you get like all your regular stuff that you would get, the ink pad or like the mini ink spot and the stamp set and everything. But then you're also going to get some fun masks to be able to do some techniques like this. All right. So before I switch back to my other screen, thank you, Martine. Thank you, Catherine. There's a few other little things that I wanted to share with you. If you are a demonstrator, you are aware that there is a preview of a new stamp set. This stamp set, Butterfly Brilliance, is going to be available in our upcoming annual catalog, and it actually comes with some gorgeous dies as well. And so we've got the outline dies as well as the beautiful detailing. What's really neat about this stamp set is it's one stamp, one giant stamp. And then the die that cuts them out is a giant die as well. And then you've got all the individual detailed pieces. You've got some detailing as well to create like brick backgrounds and some like hashtagging on the back and some really beautiful little dots and everything. I can actually show you what those, so the dots and the hashing and the brick actually remove pieces. So I created this card where I removed the white to create like a beautiful little trail of pink, and I just put a piece of pink paper behind it to get that look. So really neat detail in these dies. So this stamp set and die set will be in our new catalog coming out in May. If you want it now, you can sign up to be a demonstrator. And if you don't want to do that, you can still get your hands on it in March. They're offering this as like a preview collection starting on March 2nd. You're going to actually be able to pre-order this. But they are adding in something extra special that will not be available in the annual catalog. They're adding in Butterfly Bijou paper. It is a stack of 48 sheets of paper with all sorts of amazing designs. Really beautiful colors. So many colors in this paper. It's really quite amazing. So much happening here. Just gorgeous. So they're adding in, you can add this to your collection. And what's so cool is the die that cuts out the whole stamp also cuts out the whole DSP on this one particular sheet. So you just lay it over top and it cuts out all the individual pieces. So you end up with these gorgeous butterflies ready to use and no fussy cutting. So there's that. And so this will not be available in the annual catalog. This is only available from March till May 1st, I think. March 2nd to May 1st, this is only available. And then they're also coming out with a specialty designer series paper that is only available. And this is called the Natural Touch. And it's kind of like, it's textured, it's glossy, wood grain, maybe like a bamboo-ish kind of look. It is so beautiful. And then the other side just kind of has like a painted pattern. I don't know what you'd call it. But this is the side that really appeals to me, is this wood grain side. So these two papers are a special pre-order offering only. And then kind of as like a bonus, I've gotten together with my friends Tracy, Marika, and Denise, and we are actually going to be offering a stamp camp on March 27th for anybody who chooses to buy this collection for us. And I've put a link in the description of this video for all the details about that stamp camp. There is an option for demonstrators who maybe want to buy the stamp set and dies with their own accounts, and then sign up for the stamp camp a different way with us. So there is that option in there as well. But for most of you, the best way to grab this all is just simply to buy the whole collection. It's $97 plus taxes and shipping. And when you do that, using our host code, you will be automatically entered in as an attendee to our stamp camp. So super excited about that. You've got lots of time to think about it because you can't even order until March 2nd. So lots of time to think about it, ask questions, and yeah. All right, so thank you so much for joining me. I hope you liked the Dragonfly Garden and seeing how those masks work so that you can, be better prepared for what's coming in this March paper pumpkin and know how to use those. And yeah, I'll be back on Tuesday. I don't think I have any other videos scheduled before next Tuesday. So I'll be back and doing another live video for you next Tuesday. In the meantime, I have lots of stuff coming to post, mostly about the Dragonfly Garden all week long, and I'm always here to answer your questions. Okay, have a great day. Bye.